The old, dilapidated mansion sat atop a lonely hill, shrouded in an eerie mist that clung to its crumbling walls. It was a place that locals avoided, for they believed it was cursed. And at the heart of this curse lay a relic, an ancient artifact, with a history so sinister that it had become the stuff of legend. The mansion had once belonged to the Caldwell family, who were known throughout the region for their wealth and influence. But their prosperity had come at a cost. It was said that generations ago, the head of the Caldwell family had made a pact with dark forces to secure their fortune. In return, they were bound by a curse that would torment them for eternity. The relic at the center of this curse was an ornate mirror, a grotesque work of art with a gilded frame that seemed to twist and writhe like serpents. Its glass was so tarnished and warped that it reflected a world of grotesque horrors. No one dared look into it for long, for fear of what they might see. In the present day, the mansion had fallen into ruin, and the Caldwell family had all but disappeared, their name a whispered memory among the townsfolk. But the curse endured, as did the mirror. One gloomy afternoon, a group of adventurous teenagers decided to explore the mansion. They had heard the legends and believed it was all just a spooky tale to scare children. Armed with flashlights and a sense of bravado, they entered the decaying mansion, determined to uncover its secrets. As they ventured deeper into the mansion's shadowy corridors, the air grew colder, and the atmosphere grew oppressive. Cobwebs hung like spectral drapes, and the floorboards creaked beneath their feet. The relic, the cursed mirror, stood in a room at the mansion's heart, surrounded by an aura of malevolence. Tom, the boldest of the group, couldn't resist the allure of the mirror. He approached it, his reflection twisted into a grotesque mockery of his own features. Mesmerized and filled with a morbid curiosity, he gazed deeper into its depths. In the mirror, Tom saw visions of unspeakable horror, twisted faces contorted in agony, grotesque creatures crawling from the shadows, and nightmarish landscapes that defied all reason. He tried to tear his gaze away, but it was as though an unseen force held his eyes captive. Suddenly, the mirror seemed to exhale a frigid breath, and Tom's reflection reached out, its skeletal hand breaking through the glass. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the mansion as Tom was pulled into the mirror, disappearing from the real world. His friends were paralyzed with fear, unable to comprehend what had just occurred. They fled the mansion, vowing never to return. But Tom was gone, lost to the curse of the ancient relic. Days turned into weeks, and the legend of the cursed mirror grew. Those dared to approach the mansion reported hearing whispers in the night, faint cries for help that seemed to come from within the mirror itself. Some claimed to have seen Tom's face trapped in its depths, his eyes pleading for release. Word of the mirror's curse spread like wildfire, drawing paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and skeptics alike. They came from far and wide, armed with cameras, imp detectors, and various tools of the trade. They sought to unravel the mystery of the ancient relic and perhaps free Tom from his otherworldly prison. Among the investigators was Dr. Eleanor Wright, a renowned expert in paranormal phenomena. She was intrigued by the stories surrounding the mirror and believed there might be a scientific explanation hidden within the supernatural. Dr. Wright assembled a team of researchers, and together they entered the mansion, determined to uncover the truth. As they delved into their investigation, strange occurrences became commonplace. Lights flickered without explanation, cold spots manifested, and unexplained whispers filled the air. But the mirror remained the epicenter of the paranormal activity. One fateful night, as Dr. Wright examined the mirror, she noticed something peculiar, a faint inscription etched into the frame in a language she couldn't identify. It was a series of cryptic symbols, and though she couldn't decipher their meaning, they seemed to hold the key to the mirror's curse. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, Dr. Wright enlisted the help of linguists and historians to translate the inscription. They discovered that it was a binding spell, a dark incantation used to trap the souls of those who gazed into the mirror. The spell had been cast centuries ago by a malevolent sorcerer who sought to gain power through the suffering of others. Armed with this knowledge, Dr. Wright devised a plan to break the curse and free Tom's trapped soul. She gathered a group of volunteers, each willing to risk their own safety to confront the malevolent force that had plagued the mansion for so long. They returned to the mansion on a stormy night, the wind howling through the broken windows and the rain lashing at the walls. In a solemn ceremony, Dr. Wright recited the incantation meant to counteract a curse, her voice trembling with both fear and determination. As the incantation reached its climax, the mirror seemed to come alive. It trembled, its surface contorting as though it were struggling to hold onto its captive souls. The room filled with an unearthly scream, and then, in an explosion of shattered glass and blinding light, the mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces. In the aftermath, the curse was lifted, and the mansion fell silent. Tom's soul was finally free, and the tormented spirits that had haunted the mansion for centuries were at rest. Dr. Wright and her team had succeeded in breaking the curse of the Ancient Relic, but they left the mansion forever changed, their belief in the supernatural reaffirmed. The mansion on the hill stood empty, its dark history now a mere memory. The cursed mirror was no more, but its legacy would live on, a cautionary tale of the dangers that lurk in the shadows and the enduring power of ancient curses.